Welcome to Outlaw Theology with the Whiskey Preacher. I'm your host, Phil Shepard, better known as the Whiskey Preacher, and we are on week 2 here in Patheos and our conversation surrounding faith and politics. And the question that we're asking this week is, does the faith of our candidate matter? Or should it matter? Is it something that we should be concerned with as voters and people of faith? Is there a certain type of preference that one should have over another? Last week I talked about Mitt Romney being a Mormon and how the religious right has surrounded him. And at one time, if he was running against an evangelical Christian, he would have been the bad guy. However, he's the last standing in the religious right, and he happens not to be from an evangelical background. So obviously, folks, at least within the religious right, folks have decided that they are willing to waver on their religious beliefs to support somebody that politically stands for what they want, which I find very, very interesting. Do I personally feel like somebody's faith should be important, whether I elect them or not? I don't really think so. I was raised in a way that you voted for the person, not their religion. You voted for their ideals and what they wanted to bring the country to, and not necessarily their taking on the role of high priest. We all in different denominations have a president of our denominations. We have the Pope if you're Catholic. The Episcopals here in America have their high archbishop that they look to for guidance. But I don't think any of us have ever wanted our president to take upon that role of hierarchy within the religious realm. And I could be wrong. I could totally be wrong. But I would love to hear your thoughts. I would love to hear whether it is important to you, whether faith and the candidate is important. And by the way, I'm just saying, President Obama is not a Muslim. He is a Christian. But even if he wasn't a Christian, would that even impede you voting for him? If he was a Muslim, would that help you? Would that take you away from what you wanted to see happen in our country? There's a lot of interesting things happening within faith and politics this year. We have a radical Christian in the left wing, which is President Obama, the Democratic incumbent that is running to be reelected. Then you have Mitt Romney, who is very openly a Mormon and has a lot of the Mormon community behind him, as well as the religious right community behind him. Side note, I think it's very interesting. When I was flying back from Alaska to Fort Worth, I sat next to a former bishop of the Mormon Church, and he was very adamant on how his faith really is waving how he votes. I guess there was another gentleman running against Romney in some other race years ago that he considered himself a Mormon, and if you know who I'm talking about, please feel free to share that here. But the majority of the Mormons felt that Romney was more involved within the church than this other gentleman that was running against him. So again, I pose the question, is faith, your faith values, important to the candidate and how you vote? So again, I propose the question, does the candidate's faith interest you? Is it important to you? Is it not? For me, again, personally, no, it's not. I don't necessarily think, and maybe I have yet to have my boundaries pushed on this. I don't know if I would be comfortable with somebody who's, say, a Satanist, not a pagan in our friends section in Patheos. That's a completely different ballgame for those of you who don't know the difference between a Satanist and a pagan. But that's for a later vidcast. But for me personally, I don't know if I would be comfortable, say, somebody like that. Somebody from the Church of Satan, Anton LaVey, But I could be wrong. I don't know. Again, it comes down to the person and not necessarily the faith in which they hold on to as a candidate. Can't wait to hear your comments. Don't forget to dialogue about this on Twitter. My hashtag is the #Whiskey Preacher. Patheos' hashtag in this conversation is the #Patheos election. And don't forget to check out my Facebook, like it, and have this conversation there. Thanks again for popping by Outlaw Theology with the Whiskey Preacher, and I'll see you soon.